Here's your wrestling news for February 14th, 2021. And your headlines for today include WWE called out for covering up after accuser commits suicide. Legal action initiated against WWE. Major problems for Deonna Purrazzo outside of wrestling. WWE and AEW management frustrated about stars not following protocols. Kevin Owens is determined to jump off pirate ship at Raymond Stadium for WrestleMania 37. 5 names listed in the latest NXT injury report. WWE makes big additions to Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. WWE puts a freeze on employee promotions and raises. WWE talent and crew backstage at Smackdown said to be very unhappy and angry. Vince McMahon's one-word reason for not making Rey Mysterio WWE's top guy. Billie Kay has an update on the IIconics reuniting. Big match announced for next week's AEW Dynamite. Alexa Bliss Stalker gets a major setback. Former WWE Superstar reacts after Dolph Ziggler pays tribute to her on Smackdown, and more. We're starting today with some sad news as former WWF ring boy Tom Cole has taken his own life. Cole was one of many ring boys who launched a 1992 lawsuit against the company that accused Director of Wrestling Operations Terry Garvin, ring announcer Mel Phillips, and Pat Patterson of misconduct of a physical nature. In interviews, Cole recalled Garvin offering him a WWF warehouse job when he was 19, but was later told by Phillips that his services were no longer required after he refused an advance by Garvin. Cole also accused Pat Patterson of grabbing his buttocks, claiming this happened when he was 15 years old. The company settled out of court with Cole and other ring boys, and neither Phillips or Garvin were ever employed by the company again. In a statement, Cole's brother Lee blamed WWE for his sibling's untimely death, accusing the company of letting people harm children and covering it up. Lee claimed that these WWE employees were trying to get to Tom when he was just 14, and claimed that both Vince and Linda McMahon stood by and let it happen. On Twitter, Lee says that he will do everything in his power legally to make sure the pair answer for the lives he says they've destroyed, branding both despicable human beings. Cole's brother added that though Tom would sometimes be more forgiving of the McMahons and WWE, especially in recent years, he never changed his story. Patterson, Garvin, and Phillips all resigned from WWE after the scandal, and whilst Patterson later returned to the company, WWE has cut a ton of footage of Mel Phillips from the network. Now, we've recently covered a worrying trend of fans harassing wrestlers, with Alexa Bliss, Sonya Deville, and Peyton Royce all being targeted by fans. The issue isn't just a WWE thing, as now Deonna Purrazzo has come forth about being harassed, this time by a fan from Germany. On Twitter, the virtuosa called out a fan called Tobias for sending mail directly to her home, and judging from her post, and he strikes again, this evidently isn't the first time Tobias has done this. Last year, Jordan Grace revealed that she'd been sent creepy letters by Tobias to her home address, and Rachel Ellering added that Tobias had found her mom's address as well. Leva Bates, formerly known as Blue Pants, revealed that Tobias had gotten to her too, and Veda Scott chimed in saying that the German fan had sent things to her parents' home as well. There's been a worrying trend of fans harassing wrestlers as of late, and Tobias seems to be one of the worst, and hopefully Purrazzo and everyone else he's harassed in this way will be able to move on from his behavior very soon. News from WWE and AEW, as both companies aren't happy with some on their roster. Right now, the ongoing global situation has claimed the lives of 2.3 million people worldwide, but that sad statistic still isn't enough for some people to realize the seriousness of the situation, and higher-ups in both WWE and AEW are getting tired of it. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it was reported that both companies are getting frustrated with some talent not taking the current situation as seriously as they should. Both WWE and AEW have seen positive tests appear on their rosters, and whilst both companies may have different ways of operating during the current unprecedented times, both can agree that it's counterproductive for some wrestlers to go against the most important safety guidelines at this time. Even in the current situation, the show must go on, and Kevin Owens has made a pretty big pledge for WrestleMania 37. Fans may remember that last year, the former Universal Champion promised to jump off a pirate ship at Raymond Stadium for WrestleMania 36, but that didn't happen as the show was held in the Performance Center instead. Speaking to WWE on Fox this week, Owens recalled his promise last year and hopes to fulfill it when the Raymond James Stadium finally hosts WrestleMania this April. He said, "I can promise everybody that I'm gonna try as much as possible to do it. I'll do my best. I'll annoy anybody I can. I will get into anyone's ear I possibly can. I will literally do everything in my power to get to the point where I can jump off that ship." Time will tell whether Owens gets the WrestleMania moment he was looking to have last April, but after 3 losses to the Universal Champion Roman Reigns, the prizefighter needs to work on getting on the Mania card first. NXT news now as the latest injury report is in for the go-home episode before TakeOver Vengeance Day. Candice LeRae is on the list as she's said to have a neck injury after taking Ember Moon's Eclipse finisher and is listed as day-to-day. Tommaso Ciampa is said to have suffered a shoulder injury but is medically cleared as tolerated. Legado del Fantasma's Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde are said to have suffered various injuries at the hands of Karrion Kross, whilst Caden Carter is listed as day-to-day with a back injury after an attack by Xia Li. The NXT injury report often blends genuine and kayfabe injuries, and it'll be interesting to see how this latest report affects this Sunday's NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day. Just 1 week after TakeOver Vengeance Day, the main roster will host the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, and after reports that a second men's chamber match was booked, that match was made official on Smackdown. It won't be for the Universal title as previously rumored though, but instead, the winner will get a Universal title match later on that night. Adam Pearce handpicked Jey Uso and Kevin Owens to be in the match, whilst Sami Zayn and King Corbin earned their spots with a tag team victory. Cesaro made Dolph Ziggler tap out later in the show, earning the final 2 spots for himself and Daniel Bryan. WWE have never booked a chamber winner to have a title match on the same night, and after going through the barbaric structure, we're wondering what condition anyone will be in at the pay-per-view when they take on a fresh Roman Reigns. Now in 2020, WWE recorded record profits despite the lack of touring and no ticket sales, thanks to their network deals with the USA Network and Fox. In April of 2020, WWE cut a ton of talented employees in what many described as unnecessary cost-cutting measures, and the company isn't about to spend that extra money. Ringside News is reporting that WWE sent out a company-wide email yesterday saying they will not be giving out any more raises, promotions, or bonuses, and had a meeting about the subject with some. This is for both on-screen talent and those working behind the scenes, and a source from WWE headquarters revealed that office employees are also getting a salary freeze. WWE has been able to make a fortune despite the ongoing situation, so it's no wonder why morale is reportedly low after the news that there will be no more promotions, bonuses, or raises. According to WrestleVotes, a ton of people were unhappy during last night's Smackdown, as they reported, "Just got a text from a source in St. Pete. The unhappiness and straight-up anger backstage is at an all-time high level. Everyone from the boys to the road crew are pissed off. Not a good look." We'll have to see if WWE changes its stance as the United States continues to reopen and things get back to how they were. But for now, there'll be no more money for the superstars or employees of the company. Now, more details about what's happened has come forth, and giving this bad news was delegated by Bruce Pritchard to various people. Senior VP of Creative Writing Christine Lubrano broke the news to the writers, whilst the producers were told shortly before Friday during a meeting with Mark Carrano. Michael Cole was tasked with telling the announce team, and that didn't go down well either. One member of the creative team didn't mince their words, telling Ringside News, "Bruce totally shit on the entire team. He was part of the decision and then wouldn't even tell us, and he assigned the task of telling the team to someone 1 month on the job who barely knows us." When members of the writing team went to Bruce Pritchard, the executive director of Raw and SmackDown played dumb and acted like he didn't know what was happening. It's also been reported that these weren't extravagant raises, but a slight increase to accommodate the rising cost of living during the ongoing situation, but WWE didn't want to pay those bonuses to their staff. With reports that Pritchard is massively unpopular backstage, we doubt that him delegating breaking the bad news to others and playing dumb when confronted will help his reputation, but what else would you expect from someone who promoted his third-party podcast show and his Christmas gift to those who WWE have permitted from having third-party deals? But what do you make of this situation? Would you be willing to work in a place where you know there's no chance of better pay? Let us know in the comments. One man who's made big money in WWE is Rey Mysterio, thanks to his popularity and merchandise that led to him becoming World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania 32. 4 years after his WWE debut, Rey's win came at the arguable height of his popularity, but according to Jim Ross, it nearly didn't happen. Speaking on his Grilling JR podcast, the now AEW commentator revealed that Vince McMahon was hesitant to push Rey as a top star, and explained why. One word: size. Nowhere had the top guy in WWE been of Rey's size. Rey would have been the smallest world champion in the history of the company. I think that was Vince's unsettling decision. But was Rey over? Hell yeah, he was really over. His merch sales showed that. Despite Vince's hesitations, WWE pulled the trigger on Mysterio, with the first of his 3 World Championship wins happening at WrestleMania 32. Whilst all 3 reigns left a lot to be desired, the fact that someone of Mysterio's size reached the top is still a huge milestone, though nearly didn't happen thanks to the chairman. Back to the present, and last year, WWE split up the IIconics in a bizarre decision that was reportedly done to start a mega singles push for Peyton Royce. Instead, Royce was put into a makeshift team with Lacey Evans, which is seemingly finished now too, and while Billie Kay has been far more entertaining on Smackdown, she still misses her best friend. Speaking to Sports Today, Kay spoke about a possible IIconics reunion, saying that she hopes they'll be able to team again, but can't see it happening at the moment. Kay added that despite being on separate brands, they still talk to each other every day and see each other very often. And whilst they may be on different shows now, perhaps the future will be iconic when the former women's tag team champions get to reunite. AEW news now, as a huge 6-man tag has been set for next week's edition of Dynamite. On Twitter, the company confirmed that Eddie Kingston, Butcher, and Blade will face 3 of their longest rivals in AEW, Jon Moxley, Lance Archer, and Rey Fenix. Next week's show will also see the Young Bucks defend their AEW World Tag Team titles against Santana and Ortiz, Riho's first AEW match since last March as she takes on NWA Women's Champion Serena Deeb, Hangman Page, Matt Hardy, and Private Party face Hybrid 2 and Chaos Project, and a Sting promo about Darby Allin getting attacked by Team Taz and their match at AEW Revolution. CM Punk next, as the former WWE Champion has cemented his love for wrestling legend Harley Race with some new ink. On Instagram, artist Nick Colella shared Punk's new ink, which includes Race's iconic crown, and after talking about getting a whole part of his body dedicated to his friend, we're pleased that Punk found the time to get in the chair and get a tattoo tribute of the WWE Hall of Famer. We've got an update on the case of a fan who's been harassing Alexa Bliss, as the account AlbertLittle666 has finally been suspended from Twitter. Little, who claims to be Bliss's real husband, has sent harassing messages to the Raw Superstar, including threatening the life of her fiancé Ryan Cabrera, and claimed he was outside her house. Little also sent a message to Sonya Deville supporting the man who tried to kidnap her last year, and after countless reports from fans, Twitter has finally suspended his account. Given that this wasn't the first account Little used to harass Alexa, it's entirely possible he'll set up a new account to harass the former SmackDown Women's Champion, and we can only hope that this matter gets dealt with soon by the proper authorities. What do you make of this situation? Let us know in the comments. And we're ending today with Dolph Ziggler, who got fans talking on social media over his Smackdown attire. Wearing blue tights with the leopard print design underneath, some fans pointed out the similarity to wrestling tights worn by Maria Kanellis during her first run with the company, and Maria herself even commented that the show-off had nice tights. Maria and Dolph were something of an item when Ziggler made his main roster debut all those years ago, and although he was unsuccessful in his attempt to qualify for the Elimination Chamber, at least he looked good, according to the former 24/7 champion. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.